When Allah shakes your life, it is because He wants to settle your soul. Know this: uncertainty is not the absence of control, it is the presence of trust being formed. Victory is never late, it arrives at the exact moment it can save you from yourself. When things fall apart, they are not falling into chaos, they are falling into alignment. Alignment with a wisdom you cannot yet see, alignment with a future that you're not yet ready to understand, alignment with a version of you that could never emerge if everything remained comfortable.
When the heart is tired and searching, when the soul is worn and still, every step feels slow and heavy, every day another hill. There is mercy in the journey, there is light beyond the hill. Rushed Institute, guiding hearts, building homes, elevating life.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ya Ikhwani fi din, please pause with me for a moment, not to escape your life, but to finally see it. You've been walking through your days, carrying storms no one else can see, questions you buried deep inside, fears you've softened with silence, dreams you've placed on shelves because life demanded too much too soon. But right now, in this small moment between your breath, Allah is calling you to something deeper. Not to run, not to hide, not to perform, but to wake up. Surah Rum, Quran chapter 30, is not a chapter about nations, it's a chapter about you, about the rise and fall happening inside your heart, about the victories you never celebrated and the defeat you never understood, about the divine orchestration of your life, even when everything feels uncertain and out of rhythm. So let your shoulders drop, let your thoughts slow down, let your heart unclench. You've spent enough time fighting the world outside you. Today, bi'idhnallah, we journey into the world within together. And perhaps for the first time in a long time, you will hear the quiet truth your soul has been whispering. You're not moving through chaos, you are moving through divine design. Surah Rum is here to teach you how to trust Allah again, to trust life when it rises, to trust life when it falls, to trust the author of every chapter you have not yet understood. Every wound you carry is simply a doorway Allah left open for you to return. And when He breaks your heart, it's simply because His light needs an opening to come into your light so that your life can be illuminated. So nothing in your life is missing except your awareness of Him. And when Allah wants good for you, it disrupts the life you are settling for. So He can build you one beyond your wildest imagination. Allah is not far. You're simply distracted. Welcome to Rushed Faith. Welcome to your awakening. Today, we'll walk into the gentle storm and divine certainty of Surah Rum. For you. This surah is not a historical chapter to be studied and set aside. It is a mirror Allah holds gently and sometimes painfully in front of the human soul. A mirror that exposes how easily we mistake power for permanence, how quickly we confuse control with security, and how deeply we cling to a world that was never promised to last. This surah speaks to illusion we carry quietly inside us, the belief that stability is something we can hold on to, that outcomes belong to us, that tomorrow will obey our plans, and when life suddenly shifts, when system collapses, when certainty disappears, when what felt solid begins to tremble, the heart is exposed for what it truly is: fragile, searching, and afraid. Surah Rum was revealed in a moment when believers felt small, In a world that celebrated power they did not possess, they watched forces far greater than themselves rise and fall, and with every shift, a question echoed inside their heart: where does this leave us? What does this mean for our future? Are we forgotten or are we losing? If you listen closely, you will realize that these are not ancient questions. These are the same ones you whisper today when life changes without warning, when plans unravel, when effort does not guarantee outcome, when you did everything right and still feel uncertain about what comes next. Human beings have not changed. We still shake when life moves faster than our understanding. We still cling to what we can measure and control. We still smile in public while bleeding quietly in places no one sees. And we still ask the same Eden question: is Allah really in control? Even now, this surah answers that question without raising its voice. It does not deny your fear. It does not shame your uncertainty. It simply lifts your gaze. It reminds a frightened people and a frightened you that Allah is not reacting to the world. He is writing it. Every rise, every fall of nations, every moment of dominance and defeat, every opening and every collapse unfolds within His knowledge, His wisdom, and His precise decree. Nothing escapes Him. Nothing surprises Allah. Nothing is random with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This surah awakens the heart by gently confronting the fears we try to silence. What if I lose what I worked so hard for? What if I fail publicly? What if everything I built collapses? What if the future looks nothing like what I prayed for? And then, without drama, without panic, without urgency, the Quran answers with divine calmness. Victory and defeat belongs to Allah. Life and death belongs to Allah. Strength and weakness belongs to Allah. Ease and hardship belongs to Allah. And belief is not shaken by outcomes. It is revealed through them. Surah Rum does not promise you a smooth path. It promises you a meaningful one. It does not tell you that you will always win in the way you expect. It tells you that Allah is always winning. And if your heart remains anchored to Him, you are never truly defeated. This surah is not about Rome. It's about the rise and fall happening inside you, about the moment when your certainty weakens, your hope trembles, and your trust is tested. It is about learning to see life not as a chaos, but as a divine design, not as abandonment, but as divine authorship. Surah Rum is Allah teaching you how to stand steady when the world shifts, how to trust while outcomes remain hidden, how to believe not because things are easy, but because He is the Lord. And in that remembering, something inside you returns home. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks in this surah about nations rising and falling, about power changing hands, about victory that arrives after defeat and defeat that humbles victory. But He is not narrating history for curiosity, nor recounting events for memory's sake. He is addressing something far more intimate: the human obsession with stability. At the core of every anxious heart is the same hidden belief that if life remains predictable, then we will remain safe. That if outcomes stays favorable, then our faith will remain strong. And so we cling to plans, to timelines, to structures and certainties as if they are anchors. But Allah gently and sometimes forcefully reminds us that stability was never meant to be worshipped. Your life will not follow your script, not because you failed to plan well enough, but because you were never meant to be the author. Your efforts matter, but they do not control outcomes. Your discipline matters, but it does not guarantee protection from loss. Your strength, intelligence, and resilience cannot shield you from the divine rearrangement. And that is not cruelty, that is mercy. Modern psychology tells us that uncertainty triggers anxiety because the mind craves control. When the future feels unclear, The nervous system tightens, the heart races, and fear takes the lead. But the Quran reframes uncertainty completely. It teaches that uncertainty is not an enemy, it is a classroom. It is the environment in which tawakkul is formed, strengthened, and tested. Allah destabilizes the outer world when the inner world has become attached to illusion. He allows plans to unravel when hearts begin to rely on outcomes more than on aim. It shakes what you are leaning on so that you can learn how to stand with Him instead. Listen carefully, beloved, because this truth can change how you experience hardship forever. When things fall apart, they are not falling into chaos, they are falling into alignment. Alignment with a wisdom you cannot yet see, alignment with a future that you're not yet ready to understand, alignment with a version of you that could never emerge if everything remained comfortable. So, loss is not always a punishment, delay is not always rejection, collapse is not always failure. Often, they're divine interventions, precise, intentional, and timed with mercy, designed to redirect your heart before it settles in the wrong place. Victory is not denied to the believer. It is delayed until it can heal instead of inflate, until it can transform instead of distract, until it can draw you closer instead of making you forget. What you call a disaster may be Allah giving you direction your ego could not accept. Every collapse is an invitation to rebuild with Allah at the center, not at the margins. When Allah shakes your life, it is because He wants to settle your soul. Know this: uncertainty is not the absence of control, it is the presence of trust being formed. Victory is never late. It arrives at the exact moment it can save you from yourself. So this surah teaches you this. You're not at the mercy of event. You are under the care of a Lord who controls every turning, even the ones that scares you. This surah returns again and again to the same quiet phrase, among these signs, not to impress you with knowledge, not to overwhelm you with information, but to awaken you from spiritual sleep. Allah is not simply telling you that signs exist. He is asking you why you keep walking past them. Every sign is an invitation to reflection. Every moment is an opportunity to see beyond the surface of things. And yet, most people move through life as if events around them, as if pain has no message, as if ease arrives without purpose. Surah Rum gently interrupts that numbness. Beloved, nothing in your life is meaningless. Not the heartbreak that softened you when pride had made you rigid. Not the delay that humbled you when impatience had taken control. Not the opportunity that arrived without warning. Not the dua that was answered before you even had the courage to ask it properly. These were not coincidences, they were conversations. Science describes this process as meaning making, the human ability to assign purpose to experience in order to heal, grow, and integrate pain. The Quran goes deeper and names it what it truly is: Ayatullah, the signs of Allah, woven into the fabric of your daily life, meant to guide your heart if you're willing to look. You were not created to drift through your days half awake, numbing yourself with routine, distractions, and survival. You were not created to merely go through life while your soul quietly withers. You were created to notice, to reflect, to awaken, and to return. Allah is constantly speaking to you, not in thunder or spectacle, but in patterns, interruptions, delays, openings, and closures. He speaks through people who enter your life and the ones who leave, through the doors that open without force and the one that closes despite effort, through the ache that redirects you and the relief that reassures you. When the heart stops reflecting, it does not become neutral, it becomes blind. And blindness of the heart is heavier than any hardship of the body because it makes you carry burden you were never meant to bear alone. When you stop noticing the signs of Allah, you begin to carry weight your heart was never designed to hold. You do not need more miracles, my dear. You need clearer sight. The heart grows blind not from darkness, but from forgetting to reflect. Every disappointment carries a message written in the ink of mercy, and the one who sees Allah in everything never feels abandoned, even in loss. This surah is teaching you how to live awake, to see with the eyes of the heart, to understand that life is not happening to you. It is unfolding for you, sign by sign, moment by moment, drawing you gently back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah names one of the most painful truths about the human heart, not to shame us, but to heal us. When hardship tightens around us, we reach upward. Instinctively, our dua becomes urgent, our dependencies becomes very sincere, our hearts soften and open. But when ease returns, when the crisis passes, when the pain loosens its grip, something quietly shifts inside us. We move on, we settle, we forget. This is not hypocrisy, it is human nature, and every believer knows this cycle intimately. The intensity of returning to Allah in need, followed by the gradual drifting when life becomes manageable again. This surah does not expose this pattern to condemn us, it reveals it so we can become conscious of it. Science calls this baseline adaptation. The human mind adapts rapidly to improved circumstances. What once felt like a miracle becomes normal. What once brought tears of gratitude becomes background noise. The nervous system recalibrates and blessings lose their emotional impact. Not because they are small, but because the heart has grown accustomed to them. The Quran speaks directly into this vulnerability with gentleness. It asks questions meant to stir memory rather than guilt. How many times did you beg Allah for what you have now? How many times did you beg Allah for what you now walked past without noticing? How many nights did you cry for relief that now sits quietly in your life, unacknowledged? How many answered prayers have become invincible simply because life moved on? This theme is not a rebuke. It is a reminder whispered with mercy, a reminder that spiritual stability is not built in hardship alone. It is protected in ease. If you want your faith to remain steady, you must interrupt the cycle of forgetfulness before it settles into the heart. Gratitude in Islam is not a reaction, it is a practice. It is the deliberate choice to keep the heart awake when life is comfortable, to notice again what once moved you, to remember who carried you through what you could not survive alone. Some blessings fade from the heart before they ever leave the hands. So you see, ease is not a problem. Unconscious ease is. Therefore, gratitude is how believers remain awake in comfort. This surah teaches you this quiet discipline. Do not wait for loss to remember. Remember while you still have, because the heart that stays awake in ease is the heart Allah steadies in every season. Surah Rum returns again and again to the hereafter, not with threats, not with urgency, but with quiet liberation. It does not bring up resurrection to frighten the heart. It brings it up to unburden it, because the heart that forgets the afterlife carries a weight it was never designed to bear. So much of your anxiety comes from a narrowed horizon. You spend your energy worrying about the next 5 years, your career, your finances, your relationships, your image, your security, while rarely lifting your gaze to the next forever. And when the future feels fragile, this world tightens around your chest, demanding the certainty it can never offer. Then this surah reminds you of a truth that does not diminish life but restores meaning to it. You were not created to build a flawless dunya. You were created to walk a purposeful path back to Allah. The value of your life is not measured by how smooth the journey looks, but where it leads. Science tells us that anxiety intensifies when the mind becomes trapped in short term outcomes. Islam expands the timeline of the soul. When you remember the hereafter, fear loses its grip, loss becomes lighter, delay becomes tolerable, failure stops defining you because this world is no longer the final judge of your worth. So the remembrance of resurrection reframes everything. It reminds you that justice is not missing, it's only delayed. That pain is not meaningless. It is recorded. That your effort is never wasted. It is preserved. And that no moment of sincerity, of patience, or quiet struggles disappears into nothingness. When the believer remembers the hereafter, they stop demanding perfection from life. They stopped expecting permanence from what was designed to pass. They walk more gently through the world, not because they care less, but because they see further. The moment you remember the hereafter, this world stops strangling you, and your eternity begins the day your heart awakens to purpose. You are not behind in life, you're early for forever. You are a soul wearing a temporary body, not a body carrying a temporary soul. When the hand is clear, the journey becomes lighter. This surah does not pull you away from life. It places life in its proper size. And in that remembering, the heart finds freedom, not from responsibility, not from despair. Dear beloved, take a breath. Let every word settle gently into the spaces where you feel most fragile. We're not rushing through knowledge, we're journeying through remembrance. As we move from one theme to the next, imagine your heart walking through a garden at dawn, first noticing the rise and fall of life, then awakening to the signs all around you, then confronting your own forgetfulness, and finally lifting your gaze to the horizon of eternity. Do you feel it? Your heart is remembering the direction it was created to face. Now, let us walk towards what this means for your life today. So, here are some gentle practices you can begin immediately. Number one, practice micro tawakkul. When something small goes wrong, traffic delay, change of plans, whisper to yourself, Allah is arranging something better. This trains your nervous system to trust instead of panic. Reflect on one sign every single day. Choose one moment, a sunrise, a conversation, a memory, and ask, what is Allah showing me through this? Number three, interrupt forgetfulness with gratitude. Every time you drink water, you breathe deeply, or you feel a moment of ease, say, Alhamdulillah for this moment. Then try and sit in silence for 2 minutes daily. That will be the number four. Not meditation, just presence. Let your heart breathe and your mind settles. Spiritual clarity grows in stillness. Ya Rab, turn our hearts towards you the way you turn night into day. Heal the parts of us that fears the future. Calm the storms inside us that rise with every uncertainty. Show us the signs we have been too distracted to see. Make our hearts grateful in ease and patient in difficulty. Do not let us be among those who forget when life becomes comfortable. Anchor us to the hereafter so that this dunya no longer feels heavy on our shoulders. Let every rise and fall in our lives bring us closer to you, and let our final breath be one of return, not a regret. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Beloved listener, remember this. You're not lost, you're being led. Every rise in your life carries wisdom, every fall carries mercy, and every delay carries protection. Surah Rum is not a reminder of history. It is Allah reminding you that you are never alone in the story of your life. Walk into your tomorrow with a calmer heart. Trust the one who writes every chapter, and know that whatever comes, whatever lives, whatever stays, Allah is arranging your journey with perfect precision. This is Rushed Fate. This is your path of awakening. And you, yes, you're becoming unstoppable by the permission of Allah.